Have you ever looked up at the sky and thought, how do artists actually paint clouds that look believable? Today I'm sharing 6 unique watercolor cloud studies, from soft sunsets to dramatic rain clouds, and each one uses a different technique you can try in your own sketchbook. And before we jump in, I'll have all of the colors used for each study listed in the description below if you'd like to paint along. For all of these studies, I'm skipping the pencil sketch entirely and going straight in with paint. For the first study, I'm painting a simple cumulus cloud using only blue and gray watercolors. I begin by negative painting around the cloud shape and filling in the surrounding sky with blue. Once that's in, I mix a pale wash of blue and gray for the shadows. By adjusting how much water I use, I can vary the intensity of the pigment and create a soft gradient throughout the cloud. Even with just 2 colors, this creates a surprising amount of depth and dimension. Next up is a colorful purple to orange sunset with soft dappled clouds. I start by laying in a gradient of purple at the top and fading to no pigment in the center of the page. Then I bring in some orange from the bottom and fade that upward into the same unpainted middle section. While the paper is still damp, but not soaking wet, I grab more concentrated versions of those colors and dance my brush across the page to create soft cloud shapes. As I work lower toward the horizon, I switch to a thinner, flatter cloud formation, using the orange tones to help create a sense of distance. For the third study, I begin with a smooth wash of quinacridone gold. While the paint is still wet, I take a crumpled paper towel and gently lift pigment from the edges of the clouds. This creates some really beautiful organic shapes that would be difficult to paint by hand. While the cloud interiors are still damp, I start dropping in additional colors from my palette, warm oranges and soft purples, being careful to preserve those brightest white highlights. Letting the colors mingle naturally on the paper creates a glowing sunset effect. For study number 4, I'm creating a rainy atmospheric sky. This time I'm using that same blue and gray colors as the first study, but with much heavier pigmentation. I paint the mixture across the page and then I spray it with water. By tilting the page upward, those pigments begin to travel downward, creating streaks that mimic distant rainfall and atmospheric haze. This technique is simple, but it creates a really convincing stormy mood. For the fifth study, I'm limiting myself to just one color. I begin again by wetting the paper with clean water. Then I use cerulean blue. I lightly paint wispy cloud shapes while leaving plenty of white space behind. This study is probably the simplest of the 6, but it serves as a great reminder that sometimes less really is more. A single pigment and careful use of negative space can create a beautiful sky. And last but not least, well, this one actually might be my least favorite of the bunch, but I start by using masking fluid to preserve the sun. Once that dries, I lay down a quick wash of quinacridone gold. After looking at it for a moment, I decide I want a warmer, more orange glow, so I glaze over that with pyrrole scarlet. For the foreground clouds, I use a mix of pyrrole scarlet with alizarin crimson. And this is where things start going a little sideways. I use way too much water in this layer, so when I try to lift out those sun rays with a damp brush, the pigment keeps flowing right back to the same areas. I continue lifting and adjusting, but it definitely comes at the cost of overworking the painting. But that's what a study is for, right? Once I finally reach a point where I can't improve it any further while it's wet, I let everything dry before moving on. In the next layer, I add a wash of orange beneath the sun and gradually fade it to a muted purple-brown mixture to create the look of a glowing sunset. I repeat that lifting technique in this layer as well until I'm reasonably happy with the result. And honestly, I wanted to leave this study in because not every painting is a masterpiece. Sometimes the most valuable lessons come from the paintings that fight us the most. I'd love to know which of these 6 cloud studies was your favorite, so let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more watercolor tutorials, sketchbook studies, and creative inspiration. That's it for me today. I'll see you next week. Until then, stay creative, stay faithful, and stay rooted in grace. Bye, guys.